Now, well, this week we've been marking the 70th anniversary of the NHS, and it's a story that has as much to do with migration as medicine.
Yes, for the third in our series of reports, Callum Watkinson has been looking at the contribution of workers from other countries to the National Health Service.
5 and 6 is around there. Okay, let's say that's where the damage is.
Sanjeev Nayak specialises in pulling blood clots out of stroke victims by threading a stent up through their arteries to their brains.
Okay, just give me a roadmap here. Yeah.
It's a procedure he pioneered in Stoke-on-Trent, more effective than previous treatments which sought to dissolve the clot with drugs.
Now I'll give you an example. If you have a bit of a blockage in your kitchen sink and if you put a drain powder, it does work. But if you have a blockage in a street, a big drain in a street, and if you put drain powder, it doesn't really work, does it? You need to go, somebody needs to go in physically and take the blockage out. So that's what we do when you have a big blockage in the brain. We go to that blockage and we grab the clot and pull it out.
Sanjeev came to the UK from India in 1997, attracted by the training opportunities in the NHS.
You know, there is a wonderful opportunity to train here, and there's a, apart from the opportunity, also you got exposure to one of the world-class, technology which is within the NHS. So I think there is a lot of drive that for people to actually, come to the UK to learn.
He is the sort of migrant those on all sides of the immigration debate agree we don't want to lose.
These 6 young ladies are from Pakistan, and they're student nurses at London's Mile End Hospital.
But right from its beginnings, the scale of the NHS project meant it encountered staff shortages, and it solved them by looking abroad.
Awards, but Sister sees to it that they get their theory right too.
Pansy Martin came from the Caribbean, a prime recruiting ground for nurses, in the 1960s, and worked in the NHS for 30 years, caring mainly for the elderly.
They used to call me Nurse Pansy. Can I have this? Can I have that? Can I have that? You know, I used to love, I didn't have to stay if I didn't love it. For 30 years, I didn't have to, but I love doing
The
it.
end of their outward journey is only the start.
Even in these early pictures, many of the white nurses would have been from Ireland. In the 60s and 70s, doctors were actively sought from South Asia, and more recently, thousands of nurses have arrived from the Philippines. Most foreign NHS workers come because they want to. Some come because they have to.
Everything I did and everything I worked hard for was collapsing in front of my own eyes.
Syrian T-Reg Brimo had almost finished his medical degree in Aleppo when civil war reduced his dream of being a doctor to rubble. He eventually found a university place in London, then a job in Stoke-on-Trent.
A journey that took me from Syria to Lebanon, to Egypt, and eventually to the UK. I had nothing on my mind except to continue my educations. A refugee on job seeker allowance who speaks some English, this is how I started my journey on this beautiful land. And here I am, a proud doctor working humbly for the NHS.
Whether people come for safety, better pay, better training, or all of these, there has never been a time when the NHS hasn't had to look beyond our borders to keep itself staffed. With more than 1.5 million jobs to be done and a current shortfall of 60,000 pairs of hands, it's unlikely that will ever change. Callum Watkinson, ITV News.